This is the Chamberlink, connecting community, creating impact with Tyler Fischbach.
Before I introduce the show today and before I introduce myself, I want to tell a quick story to kind of tell everybody why we're here. So let's go back in time. This was an early Friday morning, and I believe it was August of 2015. I was in my apartment in South Fargo, and I was packing a bag and getting ready for a friend's trip. And this trip was going to take us, I'm not going to say exactly where, but it was about a 5.5 or 6 hour trek for me to the east. And so the plan was to meet a bunch of friends who we'd all graduated together from MSUM, and we hadn't seen each other for about a year. So we're like, oh my gosh, it's been a while. We got to get together. And so we had friends who were from North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, all finally getting back together for a weekend, and it was going to be a blast. So packed my bag, threw my stuff into my old gold 99 Toyota Camry and hit 94 eastbound. And so I was on the road for a while, nothing spectacular about that drive, as we know. And I finally get into my destination, I would say maybe around noon. I left Fargo pretty early. And of course, I'm looking for the hotel, and you have to turn the music down so you can see better, right? Make sure you're not passing your destination. And I think it was a Best Western or whatever the chain is that has the green mills attached to it. And so I pulled into the hotel, grabbed my stuff, checked in, went up to my room, and I realized nobody else was there yet. I was somehow had the farthest drive, but I was the first person to the hotel. What are the odds of that? So I walked back down to the lobby and asked the gal at the front desk, like, hey, what's around? I just wanted to walk a little bit, waste some time. And so she pointed me the direction of a convenience store so I could go get a Red Bull, get a drink, whatever. So I go outside and start walking. And this town it's not a small town where we were, but we were kind of in the downtown area, so very walkable. And there I am by myself, just kind of scooting along, crossing the street on the sidewalk, just kind of taking in the sights. And it wasn't before long I had this almost a sense of looming dread, or like I shouldn't be here. Something is not right. And it was hard for me to explain at the moment, like something is off here. And so I kept walking, and it kind of dawned on me, there is not a single other person out on the street. I was the only person walking, and it gave me such an odd feeling. So I kept going. There was no cute couples holding hands on the sidewalk going to lunch, no business people, nobody jogging, nobody walking a dog, nobody waiting for a bus on the corner. And I started to realize, like, oh my God, I kind of felt like Will Smith in I Am Legend, if you've ever seen that movie. There was nobody around, and it was the strangest feeling. So I kept walking, and I remember cutting up through this parking lot, and there was the pavement was buckled, and there were weeds coming through it, and I could tell it was a Target. They kind of have a distinct shape to the building, and the Target had huge wooden planks over the doors and had been closed for maybe a couple of years. It was very a creepy sensation. And whatever, I go and get my drink from the convenience store and walk back to the hotel, and I'm like, my gosh, what happened here? Because at some point there must have been business, there must have been people all over the place. It must have been vibrant, because we were downtown. There were downtown shops everywhere, but there was no activity at all. And I didn't think too much of it at the time, but now as I sit here today, I think, what happened to this city? Like, what was the chain of events that made it so this is a ghost town in 2015? Like, what happened? Was it decisions by city council that slowly but surely were not moving the city in the right direction? Was it, the education situation? Maybe the school board was not making the best decisions, and parents decided to go elsewhere. Business decided to not invest in the city for some reason. All of these things are kind of dawning on me now, like, what happened to the city? Because I don't know if there's any coming back from that, to have no people in a place. How do you get that back? And so on the flip side of things, I think, well, what does it take to keep a city like Fargo-Moorhead, what does it take to keep our region vibrant and energetic and filled with ideas and activity and people and visitors and entrepreneurs? And I think that's kind of why we're here today, and I think that's why we wanted to start this show, the Chamberlink, because there are a lot of cogs in the wheel, so to speak, of what keeps a city running and running well and keeping it future-proof, so to speak. So that's why we're very proud today to bring you the Chamber Link, which is a brand new show. And we're going to be here every single week talking about all sorts of things. We're going to be reaching into every single corner of the community, talking to experts, industry leaders, business people, community leaders, educators, first responders, you name it, because there's so much intricacy that goes into keeping a region like this running, and we're going to uncover all of those corners. So my name is Tyler Fischbach. I serve as the Vice President of Public Relations at the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, and I have a very special guest with me today. This is going to be kind of a special episode because you might be thinking, okay, you work for the Chamber. What the heck is a chamber? I know I thought that when I first started working at the Chamber, and so this is almost us kind of setting that foundation of letting you know why the heck we're here, right? I think you kind of deserve to know who the Chamber is, what we do, and why you're listening to us right now. So who better to bring in than our very own President and CEO, Shannon, to help us kind of unpack what a Chamber of Commerce is. So today we're going to spend a little time getting to know Shannon as a person, and then we're really going to dive into the nitty-gritty of what is a chamber. So first of all, Shannon, thank you very much for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. I'm really excited about this opportunity. So maybe I'll take a minute to just to thank the leadership here at the Flag for seeing the fact that we, the Chamber, are really vested. We're invested in this community. We love this region. And on behalf of my team members, our board of directors, this is a great opportunity for us to be able to expand a little bit more, to go into through the radio waves to the listeners out there, but also to bring really relevant topics, key leaders, critical conversations to the table, but also to do so in a way that we're going to be able to engage and interact with way more people than we currently have that opportunity. So super excited for the launch. The very first episode, we'll look back on this in who knows how long and say, remember when we came together. And so really excited today to talk about a little bit about the Chamber, but it's a really great opportunity to get to know, I think, so much of the power of relationships is through the connection. And so for you as listeners to know more about me, to know more about Tyler, other leaders as we go through the process of all of this, I think is going to be really exciting and just really thrilled to be here. So happy to answer any questions that you want to throw at me. I think it's going to be a really fun episode. Tyler and I are going to go back and forth. We have another special guest that's going to join us a little bit later, but excited about it. So you shoot, Tyler. Let's go.
Okay, I will. So how about this? Let's pretend you and I don't know each other. Let's say we're standing in line at the Red River Valley Fair getting a Pronto Pup or something.
Okay.
So we're in line together. We're just small talking, and I tell you what I do for work. You tell me what you do for work. And you say you work for a chamber, and I just kind of politely nod, even though in the back of my mind, maybe I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So if you were to talk to me, that stranger in line, what would be the simple way to tell that person, what is a chamber of commerce?
Yeah, great. I think it's a great question. It's one I get asked all the time. I will tell you, I still don't know that my husband and kids know exactly what the chamber does, right? So the way that I describe it in a really, I think, simple is that our organization is really meant to be a catalyst for growth and prosperity. So we are needing to take in the diverse perspectives of all of the different players that make a community what it is. So we will have certain aspects of, I would call, government to education to businesses to nonprofit sector. Every one of these are what makes the community what it is. Because at the end of the day, as you led with your story coming into this, when I think about it's not necessarily all of the amenities. It's not all the services. At the end of the day, what anybody will tell you is the differentiator from community to community is the people. And so this is going to allow us to think about those people. The chamber is the convener and the connector, is a thought leader that's able to take all of these great perspectives and hopefully establish here's where we want the community to go. We use at the chamber a lot of foresight, a lot of vision, and we like to challenge and push people to think beyond, push out of your comfort zone, to think beyond where you want to go. but all in the area of growth and prosperity. So when I think about, we want to grow the community, but we want to help our businesses grow, those 1,700 businesses that are members, that are from mom and pop, solopreneurs, all the way up to thousands of employees in all of the different industry bases. But it's not just the businesses, it's also individuals. Like we, the chamber, are very committed to individual growth as well. And we'll get into a little bit more of that. But when asked simply, what does the chamber do? We drive growth and prosperity for a wide variety of reasons in our region. So
that was fantastic. When we come back, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your career. I want to learn a little bit more about Shannon Full, so we're going to dive into that right after this. Welcome back to the Chamber Link, and Shannon Full is here with us today, the president and CEO of the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber. Okay, Shannon, you were talking a lot about how involved our chamber is with the community, and this is community work. And I want to know, how long have you been doing this work, leading chambers of commerce?
Yeah, a long time. And I will tell you that I will say that as I was young in my career, or back in high school and college, it was not my dream to be a chamber president, right? I don't think anybody aspires to that, although they should. I think that the reality of it is I was fortunate enough to stumble into a career, and it truly is a career. There are over 5,000 chambers of commerce across the country, and you've got leaders of all different backgrounds and expertise that lead some very small chambers, some very, very large chambers. For me, I stumbled in at the age of 24. How I came to be was I was an avid volleyball coach, and all through college, I was in the hospitality field. So I was a corporate trainer for Applebee's Corporation. I was a backstage manager for Country Jam USA, so I did a lot of work with festivals and that type of thing. But it wasn't until my volleyball team, 16 and under volleyball team that I coached very competitively, played in a brand new facility in the Twin Cities that was an indoor volleyball complex and a restaurant and sports bar. I'm like, oh, this is like my dream, right? This is everything that I could want together. And in playing, I was young and naive and dumb and said, hey, I'm going to talk to the owner. So I talked to the owner and said, I love this concept. It seems really cool. He said, hey, we are 3 attorneys that opened this. We have no idea what we're doing. Will you come to work for us? So I did, moved from Eau Claire, where I went to college, to the Twin Cities. And the first thing they told me to do was join the Chamber of Commerce. And I was like, I have no idea what a chamber is, but okay, if you're telling me we got to do it, I'll join the chamber. And within 6 months, I was hooked. Like, I loved the fact that we had all of these volunteers. We had so many people passionate about making a difference in the community. We got to do a bunch of different things. Every single day was different, right? And so I volunteered very, very heavily in the chamber, which then was the Fridley Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. And as the president and CEO came to me one day and said, I am actually going to be leaving, and I think you should take a run at my position. And I said in my 23-year-old bold voice, I have no idea what you do, and I guaranteed I'm not qualified to it. This is a great lesson in mentorship. She mentored me and walked alongside me for 6 months, and then helped me have the courage and be prepared enough to put my name in the hat. And lo and behold, they hired me at 24 in my first president and CEO job of a chamber. So it was a lot of baptism by fire, a lot of, I had no idea what I was doing, right? But what I have found that I've just entered in January of this year, my 25th year of leading chambers of commerce, and I've done so kind of all over the place.
Wow, that is incredible. So there must be 25 years, there must be something about the job that truly speaks to you as a person. Otherwise, there's no way you'd be doing that for 25 years. What is it about the work that really hits home with you?
Yeah. For me, I'm a small town girl out of Wisconsin, really grew up with parents that drove work ethic and making sure that you're making an impact and making a difference. And that's what the chamber does each and every day. We have impact and influence. We can see the results of our work, which is really important to me. But I think more than anything, I am a people person of all people. people, right? My dad will tell you, he used to tell me often before he passed away that I am like the queen of BS, right? But I've been able to figure out how to capitalize on that to a way that says this is really rewarding and really fulfilling for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the people and the passion that drive what we do. And I love it. I don't love every day. I don't love everything that I have to do or every person I engage with. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, 25 years, I would not have changed it or done anything differently.
I'm glad you brought that up because obviously everybody has tough days at work, tough days in their career. So I think about even our chamber. We have core values as a chamber, and you have core values as a person. How do you get through those moments, whether it's a very tall order, you have a big task at hand, a big initiative to figure out? How do you as a leader and as Shannon Full, how do you push yourself through those difficult moments? Or what are the values that maybe help you drive through those?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? I think your core values or your personal values are never more relevant than at times where you face adversity and where you're being challenged, right? And so that integrity component of it is a really important one for me. And so when I think about the one area that I get the most frustrated is when someone questions my integrity, right? And so oftentimes I think about this in my actions of, am I operating at the most high integrity level? Would I be proud of these decisions? Will I be proud of them when I look back on them? Do I do everything totally by the standards, by the book with a lot of integrity all the time? No, I'm also human, right? So that's a really big piece of it. Another core value for me is really having that resilience and trying to make sure that we are driving. So that idea of making an impact, it's not just in work, it's also in what I'm doing at home, where I'm volunteering. All of those pieces are really important to me. The other impact of surrounding myself with really good people is a really important one, right? For me, I have lots of ideas. I will tell you the ideas that we generally lean into as a chamber come from the people around us, my great team members that I get to work with every day, great community members that have positive intent. That's the other thing. I operate a lot out of positive intent, wanting to make sure that we see the good. And unfortunately now more than ever, there are too many people that don't see the good in each other. They don't see the good in the actions that we're trying to make. We live in a world now that is hugely fragmented, that is hugely polarized. And I'm not just talking in public policy, right? But that ability to bring people together is a really, really powerful attribute. And so those are some of the driving factors for me. But the other one that I will talk a little bit about is courage, right? A core value of having the courage to stand up for the things that you think are right, but also having the courage to say, hey, this is a tough issue, but we're not going to hide behind it. We're not going to allow it to be overshadowed, but rather how do we approach it in a very respectful manner, in a collaborative fashion. So, those are just some of the core pieces for me.
When you were bringing up things like collaboration and people working together, when I think about this community, that's one of the reasons why I love it up here. I feel like people truly do work together, and it does feel like a community. I mean, I grew up in South St. Paul, and I went to school at MSUM, and my parents kind of raised an eyebrow when I told them I didn't want to come back to the Twin Cities. But this place just has it, right? Whatever it is, I feel like it's right here. And because you didn't grow up in Fargo. What do you think of this? And I'm not going to call you an outsider because you're not. You've been here for 5 years now.
No, I'm still an outsider. Let's be real. I'm still an outsider. I'm learning every day, right?
Yeah, right. So what was your first impression of this community and the first time you came here? Was it a visit up here?
Yeah. So you are right on with the it factor, but I'll tell you, I'll also share a little story. So when the opportunity for this position came open, the search firm, they did a national search with a professional search firm. And I remember, I know the search firm well, I know the leader well, and he called me said, hey, I've got an opportunity. Would you have any interest in looking at the Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo chamber position? And I said, first of all, I didn't reply the first time he called. He was very persistent. The second time I said, no, I have zero interest in Fargo. Like Fargo? Like, who would want to go there, right? And he said, I think let me just send you the position profile. I think you should just take a look at it. And so he was very convincing. So he sent it to me, and I did. I got a little bit more intrigued. And so then we said, so I went home to my husband and said, hey, Travis, what do you think about if we go look at Fargo? And he had pretty much the same reaction that I did. Keep in mind, I've spent 11 years of my professional career in the Minneapolis marketplace.
Not too far away.
Away. I had never once been to Fargo. Wow. And so we called another couple of good friends of ours, and we said, let's do a secret trip, a secret DL trip, a trip on the DL. And so we did. We came up and we rented a room at the Radisson downtown, and we said we're just going to experience this, right? So we drove around. We just talked to who better to tell you about the area than those that are in the hospitality industry, those that are driving the Ubers, that are So we did a lot of just our own fact finding. Of course, we had to go to Drecker and check out the brewery, and we drove around the community, and what we found. So now I've got the position profile. I've done a ton of research on the team and the chamber itself. How strong is the organization? What is the team that is made up with it? But now the it factor, and it sounds cheesy. It sounds, crazy to just say it was the people. It was definitely the people. But here's a big motivator for me. What was kind of blaring to me out there is that I'm coming from the Minneapolis metro marketplace. Again, I love Minneapolis. I love to go there to visit. We won't live there again, I don't think, right? But what was interesting was in Minneapolis, there are 29 local chambers of commerce in the metro region. So when I talk,
that's overwhelming. Just thinking
crazy.
About that,
it's crazy.
Oh my goodness!
So when you think about the dilution of brand, the ineffectiveness, the inefficiencies, the lack of collaboration and partnership, that is what was really frustrating with me. Here we have one chamber of commerce, but even more importantly, we have one chamber of commerce whose core values are to work with other partners, right? So whether they're I could list the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Economic Development Corporation, the Downtown Partnership, the BIA, whatever the organization is, we've got the ability to not only say, let's work together, it's like ingrained in people's DNA to partner, which is not always easy, right? It would be a lot easier to fly solo, but a lot more impactful, and so that's why that was the big reason. So that's one of the differentiators, I think, of this region as the it factor.
Yep, well, I'm glad to hear that. We got you hooked. Just one visit.
I'm hooked.
Got you hooked.
I'm hooked.
Well, we're going to dig in a little bit more into the chamber's work. I'm glad you kind of led us down that path and partnership and collaboration. And don't forget, we have a special guest who's going to be joining us in, maybe about 5 minutes or so. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the Chamber Link. We're here with President and CEO Shannon Full, and we are also now joined by Mr. Jon Riewer, President and CEO of Eventide Senior Living Communities. We're going to bring him into the convo in just a minute. I have one more question to ask Shannon about our chamber. So, Shannon, you are out, well, I'll put it this way. I could go maybe 5 or 6 business days without seeing you in the office because you are all over the place. I mean, you are talking to leaders left, right, and center. What are some things that you're hearing across the community that are challenges and or opportunities, and how is the chamber kind of stepping in to fill that gap or to lead or to help with whatever the challenges may be that you're hearing?
Yeah, so I think we hear a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges. They're not necessarily unique to our region. I will say that one of my favorite parts of the job is that I'm also very, very engaged at the national level. So sit on the U.S. Chamber Committee 100. So that's about 150 business leaders that help the U.S. Chamber shape federal policy, which is really important right now. And also on our national board, we have about a major cities group that has about 65 chambers our size across the country. So I'm able to garner best practices and hear insights from them as well. But back to the question that you asked around what am I hearing? Again, most of my job, as you've said, is external. I oftentimes say that I wish I had more time for my internal team, but the pieces we're hearing, without a doubt, workforce, and that has a lot of different facets to it, right? Workforce is not a simple challenge. It also doesn't have simple solutions, and so it also has a lot of different partnering pieces. If you think of that hub and spoke model, there's a lot of spokes that feed into workforce. So trying to have an idea of what's happening at the K-12 level for our future workforce. Where are we with our 5 universities here in the higher education space on making sure that the degrees, the credentials, the training and education is aligning with not only the needs of our students, but the needs of our companies. So we can ensure that our companies can continue to grow and prosper here. So a lot of what we're hearing on workforce is, how do we get more workforce? We know that workforce looks very, very diverse. So what are we doing on immigration? We'll talk, I'm sure, about some of these policies, but what are we doing on immigration? What are we doing on higher education opportunities? How does higher education and student recruitment lean into our overall talent recruitment here? What are we doing once people are recruited here to acclimate them to the area, to make sure that there's the stickiness and the glue to keep them here? What are we doing on retention and development? So upskilling individuals that are currently in the workplace to make sure that they are able to adapt to the needs of our companies. We also hear a lot about how are we attracting more companies to this region? What are we doing on telling the story of the Fargo region, the greater Fargo region, the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo region? What is that brand, right? When we have mainstream media and movies that have dictated the reputation of our region in the past, it hasn't necessarily been in the most positive light,
Exactly.
right? And
well,
so,
how do we change mindsets, kind of like what you just had before you moved up here? How
Right,
do we get in
right.
people's DNA to switch their thinking about
So that's
this?
another challenge and another opportunity. We have a lot of challenges in the public policy sphere, whether that be we're looking at regulation and how we are looking at tax reform, to healthcare challenges, to infrastructure investments. When we look at this massive diversion project that is the first of its kind to have a public-private partnership to the magnitude that it is, but it all comes down to protecting our community and allowing that community to grow. So these are all of the things that we're hearing, but we're also hearing things like as resources continue to be constrained and are limited, how are we making sure that our nonprofits are having the resources that they're needing to do the work that they are? From a local government standpoint, one of the more, I would say, public policy pieces are, we need to continue to cultivate really strong leaders that want to serve in elected office, that want to continue to be on the school board or the planning and zoning or the park board, all the way up to city and county commission to state leadership. Those are all things that we're seeing are really, really important. We're hearing from our members, our community leaders. And so the chamber has a lot of demands on what we're doing. I think one of the greatest challenges we face is how we prioritize all of those. How do we show up, lead on the things we're supposed to lead on, support on the areas we're supposed to support on, all with the mindset of keeping our mission of growth and prosperity in mind.
Yeah. So that's a lot of stuff that you just talked about. One might be overwhelmed and think, how might one organization be involved with all of these things? So I'm thinking back to the story I led with in that town back in 2015. How do you think chambers have evolved over time? Because I bet in that town in 2015, there was probably a chamber there. Mm-hmm. Maybe they had one small business after hours type event and they called it good. Like, we don't need to worry about this other stuff. We don't need to worry about public policy or education or healthcare. Clearly that didn't work out too well for that community, but how have you seen that shift? I mean, you've been doing this work for 25 years. How have these orgs had to change over time and be involved in more and more?
Yeah, adaptability is huge. I also think the other part of this that we have found, and what happens unfortunately in some communities, is there is a void in leadership, right? And so this ability, I believe, when you look across the country to communities that are thriving, you're having courageous leadership, you're having leaders stand up, you're having empowered leadership, right? Like we, the chamber, we would not be what we are if we didn't have people that respected the work we do, that trusted us to do this work, that walked alongside us and wanted to do this in partnership with us. So much of a community is on leadership, and that leadership takes the form of elected leaders. It takes the form of our school education leaders, our business leaders, our organizational leaders like the chamber. But it's truly, in my opinion, when you look at thriving communities, those that are really growing, they have a lot of foresight. They're willing to take on challenges. They don't turn their back to some of those, but they take them head on with a lot of foresight and a lot of vision, and just have that ability to gain trust and respect from others and then be held accountable for that, right? Like we've got a lot of leaders that invest a lot of human capital and financial resources with us, and we need to do everything we can to leverage those relationships and resources in the very best fashion that we can. And that's a responsibility that I know I don't, but certainly the rest of all of you and the team, we don't take that lightly. And so it's a challenge that we talk about on a constant basis of how we show up in the community and what we can do to continually be better.
So when you say foresight, I want to put a pin in this because I want to talk about Innovate 28 in a little bit. So we'll get there. But first, I want to bring Mr. Jon Riewer in so you're not sitting there all by yourself.
I'm enjoying this.
Thanks, Tyler. You know, as I look at the three of us, I thought of, okay, Shannon's my boss. You're on the board. I'm on
so
your
John's
board.
my
And
boss.
you're
my
my
boss.
Who's in charge here? Who's running
Nobody.
the show?
Absolutely nobody.
Okay, Jon, you have been a longtime community leader. You've been involved with the chamber for a long time. First of all, why do you continue to be engaged with the chamber, and what's the importance from your perspective of having a strong chamber of commerce? Why do you do what you do and stay involved?
Well, for starters, Tyler, Shannon, thank you for having me. I'm a little concerned that I'm part of the inaugural radio show here, so I'm already a little concerned. But
Yeah, you're
again,
the make it or break it.
It
So
is.
don't be the break it.
Nonetheless, something I'll be able to tell my great-grandkids about at some future point. So thank you for having me. To your question, it's been over 21 years now. I've been fortunate to be in my position at Eventide, and I've seen quite, as you guys talked about the word evolution of the chamber, I've seen it all. And when I started, I would say it was much more of a membership club, a good cheerleading, but not one that had the boldness and the opportunity to convene the community like it has for a number of years, and certainly now. And certainly not at the level of collaboration and a partnership that we see now with the economic development and everything else that's going on. And so it's been fun to watch from my catbird seat. I've been fortunate to be recycled, I think is the word we use, as a board member. and so from that end of things, whether it's been as I've matured also, but so has the chamber, and it's just a different experience even now on the board than it was the first go around. So we have something very special here in this community, and the chamber recognizes that, and that is really where we get involved. So I always go back to our board, Tyler, as you know, and I say, where's our time and resources spent outside of our daily knitting, which is taking care of many seniors across the community? And that is, how do we give back at our state level through our state associations, and then also locally? And I can't think of a better opportunity that we've had in my time here than our participation with the chamber.
One thing I think about, and Jon, thank you for being as involved as you are. We truly appreciate it. We love having you around.
You might be a glutton for punishment, but yeah, that's okay. We'll take that all day long.
Yeah, we'll see with this next question, maybe. So I think about, we're talking a lot about collaboration and impact and evolution. Sometimes it's helpful to give folks a tangible, okay, so what's coming out of this work that the chamber is doing? What can I grasp at and hold and look in my hand and say, oh my gosh, this made a difference? And that's why I kind of want to talk about public policy, because Jon, I know that you're very involved. You pay attention. You're listening and watching everything that goes on, and you have to. But you also put your energy in the chamber when we are out advocating for business. So I guess this could be a question to either of you. First of all, Why is that important? And have either of you seen, I suppose, the fruits of our labor? Because it's a lot of work, but what comes out of that work? What are the benefits of being so involved in public policy?
Well, I'll kick it off. I have, just in my role, any number of opportunities to be involved in lobbying efforts and getting our message out, both from an Eventide perspective and a community perspective, both at the federal and the state. And I've told people over and over, I don't know that I've had better opportunities than the many the chamber has provided, I should say, around how well organized it is, how much there is a willingness of our leaders, both at the state and federal levels, because they know we're speaking from one community voice, that we're an ultimate convener as it relates to all things Fargo and Moorhead and Minnesota and North Dakota. And from our end, it's just we're a microcosm of this. We do business in both communities, both states, and we are stuck in the middle of this very extreme partisan, one side of the coin on North Dakota, the other side of Minnesota. And so whether it's always to the very pointed issues that might be Eventide issues, or whether it's community issues, I know that I've got a partner in the chamber that at the very least, my voice is amplified, and at the very best, it's amplified not only at those political levels, but within the community, so that we can all get on board and do this work together. So I just have yet to see anything that's provided Eventide or myself the opportunity to get in front of the right people at the right time.
Yeah. So when you asked about what does it make a difference, right? Our public policy work is widespread, but also very targeted at the same time, right? So we've got local relationships. So we think about city and county, what's happening at the city and the county level that are important to businesses, that are important to growth and prosperity. We do a lot of work as Jon mentioned, at the state level, both in Bismarck and in St. Paul. And when we talk about that, it does make a difference. I'll just share a little story with you. I spent the earlier part of this week in the final week of the legislative session in North Dakota. I will tell you that when you're out there in the final weeks, it's all great when you're in early in the session and everybody's in a really good mood and we're trying to identify where the best needs are. And now we're down to, we've got limited funds. We have a lot of asks. What is going to be the most impactful? I will tell you that the legislators, the chamber has done a really good job of building relationships across the entire state with legislators to build a level of awareness of the importance of this region to the state, right? We're a third of the state's economy comes from here, but we're not oil and gas, right? But we do have a lot of other assets and a lot of other revenues that are coming in that are not that, right? So when we're building those relationships to build awareness, but then we're also bringing forward significant policy positions that we take the time to develop alongside of our business and community leaders here, right? So when we bring policy perspectives to the table, again, to Jon's point, the ability to convene, we're meeting with majority leaders, appropriations leaders, all the different committees, our 33 legislators that represent this region. And I think there could not be a better compliment than when they actually reach out to us and ask for that perspective, and it happens over and over and over again. And so we're seeing the same thing in Minnesota. We're a little bit of a much smaller fish in a bigger sea in Minnesota, but we are a very loud and important voice representing greater Minnesota and an area that is growing 3 times the national average, with the fastest growing county in North Dakota and the fastest growing county in Minnesota outside of the metro region. So our voice is getting stronger and stronger, but it's because of the intentionality that we have put behind the programming and the commitment and the resources. When we talk to our business leaders, we have to say to Jon, hey, thank you so much for supporting and sponsoring our fly-in to DC or our Capital Day in St. Paul, because showing up makes a difference. Showing up is how we get the things that we need. And it isn't because we're pushing it, it's because people are understanding the importance of it.
Well, and we don't have time to get into this story, but that makes me think about the Dilworth Fire Hall, for example. That's one of my favorites, with how intentionality and a little bit of work and persistence can go a very, very long way. And it's awesome that's a physical manifestation of that work, and it's awesome to see. So we're going to be right back. We have a few more minutes, and we're going to ask Jon a little bit about Eventide and Tabitha before we wrap up today. So we'll be back in just a few. All right, welcome back to the Chamber Link. We are here with Shannon Full and Jon Riewer. We have a few minutes left, so this is kind of a speed round here. But Jon, why don't you tell the community about, and this isn't necessarily breaking news yesterday, but it's still big news for you and for our community. Tell us about Eventide and Tabitha. What's that situation?
Well, real quickly, we had an opportunity here a few months ago to affiliate another group based in Lincoln, Nebraska, into our nonprofit faith-based family. And so Good Lutherans working together. They've got some opportunities. We've got opportunities. And, of course, how do we do all of this with some scale and some best practice and everything else? So knowing our time is limited, I will tell you it's 6 months in, and it's going very well, and we look forward to things that we're going to do. And the chamber connectivity, of course, is Shannon, of course, knows the chamber leader in Lincoln, and so it's been an opportunity for us to get some instant credibility right out of the gate just with our chamber connections here in Fargo-Moorhead.
But you think about that story, that's exactly the mission of the chamber, right? When we think about growth and prosperity, that looks different for every one of our companies. It looks different for our community. It looks different for the individuals. I think about Jon's team and how many of them have gone through leadership programs or young professionals, and our whole goal is to help to develop those leaders to then be able to expand the companies. And so the other part that I would say that if we didn't have the community connectivity, that is the part that keeps our leaders here. So as companies expand and they have a decision if they want leadership to live here in the region, or they want to disperse leadership throughout the country, or they want to move leadership, it's the things that we're doing behind the scenes in the community. That's what's making the difference, and that's why we're motivated to do what we're doing. So,
all right, Shannon, are you ready for this? This is going to be kind of a quick fire speed round here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to name an event and a date. These are upcoming, and I want you to give me maybe a 10-second, what is it? Why should people go? This is going to be a challenge.
Is it going to be me and Jon, or just me?
Jon can jump in too. Okay. May 8th, business after hours. Go.
Multiple booths allowing companies to showcase their products and services so that other leaders can do business locally.
From a front end, any chance you get as a new leader to network, take it, and there's no better opportunity than the chambers.
Love it. Chamber Choice Awards, May 15th.
Best of the best, best of the, like our best companies are highlighted, our best leaders, entrepreneurs, great celebration of business and how that is super important to the livelihood of our region.
Military Appreciation Night, one of my favorites.
One of my favorites. It literally, I just got chills when you said it. Military Appreciation, our night at the Red Hawks, where through sponsorships and partnerships, we're able to get our military family members and active duty members free tickets. The whole entire thing is dedicated to the military. This year we have over 100 of our 119th Wing airmen are deployed, and so we're going to have numerous videos from those that are actively deployed. It gets me so choked up. It's going to be hugely motivational. I'm really excited for it.
That's always an emotional night in all of the best ways. I absolutely love it. Okay, Midwest Ag Summit, June 10th.
Agriculture, one of the most important industry sectors, one that is thriving and continues not only for food security and the economy, but now it really plays into national security. We will have top speakers from DC through ag tech, through industry leaders. It is, we have about 27 chambers across the Midwest that partner with us, generally 400 or 500 people in person. Anything and everything agriculture, you don't have to be in it. You just have to appreciate it and want to learn more.
Well, and with that, I think we cracked over 7,000 live stream viewers too.
7,000 live stream viewers,
cool.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So last one here, golf outings and the ball drop. Don't forget about the ball drop.
Boy, I tell you what.
Big cash prize.
Again, another different but great opportunity because our members are so diverse and so are our offerings. And so there was a time and place where I wouldn't miss the golf outing, and I don't know, the ball drop, we've sponsored it before, and it goes surprisingly well, and it's a lot of fun. And again, just kudos to the Chamber for coming up with such a wide variety of opportunities for any member at any place to get involved.
Yeah, so it suits the gambling fix for those that want to buy a golf ball and have it dropped from a crane and see if you win $5,000, right? But at the end of the day, the event itself, we hear there are a ton of golf outings, right? Ours sells out every single year. In fact, we added a second one because of that, right? People love this event because it's just genuine, authentic, good people getting together for a good mission and an afternoon of golf.
Absolutely. So I think what we have going is we're going to be at Hawley on July 10 and Edgewood on July 16th. And July 16th is when we're going to do the ball drop. So you still have time to buy your golf balls and what is it, a $5,000 cash prize?
Yeah.
It's pretty big. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our first episode of the Chamber Link, and we're going to be right back here next week. See you then.